Jason Handy's niece came forward on TikTok to share her story about her uncle, Jason Handy. And so we're going to watch this really quickly.
Make this one big story time, and hopefully that'll answer everyone's questions in one video. So I was born in 2003, around the same time that my uncle went to prison for the first time. And growing up, I had a lot of outer family and cousins that I never saw that lived in LA that I knew worked in entertainment and Hollywood and stuff like that. And I knew that my uncle was one of those people, and he worked for Nickelodeon. And I thought that was so cool. And one of my other cousins, she would bring me these little papers from the Miley Cyrus cast and stuff. And I was like, maybe my uncle one day, he'll bring me stuff like that from the Nickelodeon cast, and maybe I'll get to meet them or something, I was 5 or 6. And every year for my birthday, I would also get these birthday cards from my uncle saying, I love you, I miss you, and, he can't wait to meet me and my sister. And my mom never gave me these, until I was older and knew about everything. So I just grew up thinking he was really, really successful and just really busy. And when I was around 7 years old is when he got out. And obviously he didn't have anybody and he didn't have anything. So he moved to North Carolina because my grandparents chose to support him. Now, obviously I was 7 years old, so I had no say in their decision. I have no idea why they decided to support him. My grandma has been sick for a really long time. So is my grandpa. And I think they're in a lot of denial. And yeah, but anyways. But they bought him a house, they gave him a car, and they bought him everything he needed to live on. And he...
You see this, though? When I'm listening to her, the predators get protected. They just do. And this is why it's very important for people not to buy a car for this person, buy a house, give them this new job. It's very important for us as a society to understand the message that sends to the predator, which is basically, I have a support system. I have a safe haven. I can do these things and be protected. And the more that happens, the more they feel like they're unstoppable and invincible, honestly. And they'll keep getting access to their prey. So let's continue.
I guess acted like he was back to a normal life, pretty much. And growing up around him was really weird. My first impression of him, being really, really little, was that he seemed really, really angry. And simple things me and my sister would do, like playing too loud around him, if we would say words wrong, he would always correct us, he would get angry at us. And so my grandparents told us that we weren't allowed to be alone around him because he had severe anger issues. So from the ages of 7 to 11, his anger issues got better. And my grandparents would take us to his house where he had big TVs, workout equipment, movies, books, games, brand new Xbox.
What?
And me and my sister loved it there. He had a giant playground in the yard. And we wanted
He
to play
had a giant playground in the yard, and he doesn't have children. And he has Xbox, and he has the den. He set up the den, basically, with the help of people around him. He didn't have to do a thing. He had people supporting him creating that den. That's why this video is really important, because it goes to show you how not only do people that aren't family members, protect these predators, family members can too. It's so complicated for family to have to process these things, but they must, because there's a child now over there playing Xbox with a playground in the backyard, and the guy doesn't have children, and they already know that he's a predator.
Like all the time. And one day his house got broken into. They busted his front window and stole his TV. And so me and my sister were like, I don't really want to play there anymore. It's kind of scary. So a few weeks later, his car got broken into and all the windows got busted. And
People
my
knew.
grandparents and my mom told me that my uncle was gonna move in with my grandparents because, like, obviously his house wasn't safe. And I was like, yeah, like, that makes total sense.
So not saying this is okay, but I'm guessing that people were damaging property of his because they knew he was a PDF file, right? Not endorsing this at all. But I'm guessing that's kind of what she's trying to say here. And then the grandparents are like, let's bring him into our home where children are, because his place isn't safe. Wherever Jason Handy goes isn't safe. Honestly, wherever a predator goes isn't necessarily safe.
And at this point, my grandparents owned a business, so my uncle was helping with their business and working there. Obviously, he wasn't going to get a job anywhere else. And I want to add also that my grandparents' business, their office was just their house, which was just a few houses down the road from my childhood house, which is in this really small neighborhood. So anytime there was like anything going on, like cop cars or like arguments or anything, like me and my little nosy sister, like we're gonna run outside and see what's happening. So we're playing outside one day, like we're like 11 and 12, and we see a cop car like fly down the road, and they just kept going and going and going, and there was like sheriff cars, undercovers, and I was like, oh my god, like what's happening? And I see them line up outside of my grandparents' house, and you just see like people like ducking and running around my grandparents' house, like surrounding it. Like it was literally terrifying. So obviously me and my sister, like, we run inside and we tell my mom, and my mom is in the driveway, like, crying, calling my grandparents, and my grandpa answers and tells my mom, like, they're here, like, they're taking Jason. So
Again,
I see them walk him up the driveway and put him in the car, and everyone leaves, and me, my mom, and my sister all go down.
that's also why it's very important for adults to explain things to kids. You know what I mean? I really do think it's very important because predators, PDF file predators, they're preying on the ignorance, the naivety, the innocence of a child. And so the more the kid doesn't know, the more they get access to them. And so it's really important for adults specifically to make sure there's ways to approach this. It's not like you explain all of, but you must let the children know what's going on, and not letting them in the same room with a person like this with Xbox and the playground and this and that. This is absolutely not okay, because predators are preying on the naivety. Wherever the weakness is, that's what they exploit. And so it's very important for us as a society to make sure that we are educating and informing people about, what we know and how to protect people.
My parents' house. So that's when they explained to me, like, my uncle doesn't have really bad anger issues. He wasn't at Nickelodeon, until I was 7 or 8 years old. Like, he was in prison, and like, a
I
brief
can't
summary
believe they
for
said he was at Nickelodeon when he was a predator at Nickelodeon and he was actually in jail. That's unbelievable. These kids thought he was just at Nickelodeon living the life. Unbelievable.
a 12-year-old of what he did. And, you know, obviously I'm like, what the fuck? And I don't want to go into detail about what he did this time, just because it's, like, obviously not my place. But, it was someone he was close to that trusted him with their kids, which obviously was a horrible decision. And, just things online, stuff he had on his phone. Yeah. And you think it would stop there, but it doesn't, because since he has been in jail, he's been in like 3 or 4 different prisons. He's been moved around. He has compared me as the other black sheep of the family.
Oh no.
So from the ages of like 12 to like 15 or 16, when I realized I didn't have to talk to him anymore, he would send really long letters and call me and my sister, like asking how we were and like how school and our interests, like bands and shows and stuff, and like he would always try really hard to connect with me and like compare us because I was a little emo kid, so my family, who's very Christian and conservative, would exclude me. So he would call me the
Being emo and being a PDF file are two very different things. Nice try, Jason Handy. What conclusions are you drawing from that? I don't see them. I don't see them. An emo girl he's comparing himself to. Jason Handy, you're a PDF file. Legit, self-admitted. And you're trying to have a young girl feel like there's some type of, you're just a black sheep of the family? You're a PDF file. See how they do that, though? They're so manipulative, predators. God, it's this whole, like, and you're just like, wow. If you just look at it face value, you see exactly what he's doing. Downplaying what he is and trying to make it that he's just different, that people don't understand him and what he is doing. We understand it. We got it. We figured it out. You admitted it. And it's really not okay. You're a criminal. And honestly, one of the worst ways possible.
They're black sheep of the family. And once I had children, he started trying to put that bond onto them, and now he makes them gifts. So the most recent one was a bag he made for my newborn son. So if anyone has any suggestions what I should do with this, for those of you asking why I had to visit him, I was like 14 years old and he was in a prison in Arizona, and I really wanted to go to the zoo in Arizona, and I wanted to go on a trip with my family. So
I think it really showed a clear picture of how also family enables this type of behavior. And I think it's really important for us to all understand that really being aware of enabling. And I think specifically it comes with financial reward. And I do think that's why, you know, SOs, for example, an employer has the right to say, I'm not hiring you because of your record. Because I think it is this fear around financially rewarding and allowing these people to gain access to victims. So that's how I feel about that. And she was very brave, obviously, to tell her story of her uncle, because that's a lot, honestly, to have to talk about that.